In the last video, we created a very simple, or we get started on creating our GUI interface, and we created a label and a text box, and it's all squished into a little space, but we were happy because we got started. So now let's take this, in this video, one step further and start laying it out. In other words, let's make it so that it's just a little more comfortable. It doesn't feel so squished. So that's our goal for this particular video. I'll close that out. All right, so we're going to acknowledge this grid method, and we're going to play with that in order to line things up a little bit better. And what I want you to think about is this idea, this grid layout. And it's just like an Excel sheet, with the exception that we start at zeros, I suppose. Remember, computers always start counting at 0. So if we start thinking about laying our elements, our text box or our labels in this grid pattern, in other words, this is grid number or box number or row number 0 and column number 0 because we start counting at 0. This one's 0, 1, 0, 2, and then I think you get the ball game from there. So here's row 2, 0, 1, 2, column 0. And so we can start placing our text boxes and our labels and so forth into one of these grid spaces. So let's see how we're going to do that. We've already kind of got it started with the word grid. So let's go from there. All right, so we have our label, and I think it's kind of intuitive then. We can put our label in row equals 0, and column, you have to write the whole thing out. You have to spell it correctly. Column equals 0. So we'll put the grid in the left-hand corner, and then right next to it, then we're going to put, or what did I say, the label? I don't know if I said grid. Anyway, we're going to put the label in the top left-hand corner, and then we're going to put our text box in the top right-hand corner. So that would be row, spelled with one R, equals 0 still, and then our column equals 1. So let's see how that works out. So if we run that, we should start to see them side by side. That's looking a little bit better. But our example was a little bit more spacious, wasn't it? So our example had all this nice spacing around it, and I exaggerated a little bit for this example, but that's okay. It still gets the point across. So how do we make all of this what we call padding? Well, that's very simple, and I'm really glad you used that word padding because that's what we're using. So here in our grid, we need, we're going to use this word pad, and we have to define our X and Y pad and our X and Y. So X, I don't know what that means. So pad X equals, let's do something extreme, like I'm going to say 25, and see what on earth that means. So if I run pad X 25, then, I'm getting padding on the left and right of 25. So that's good. Presumably pixels, I believe is what it is. So let's see what padding, P-A-D-Y, is giving us. And then if we put that in, let's see what we get. So you can see that we're getting more padding on just this label. So we've got padding left and right, which is the X, and padding top and bottom. So 25 pixels from the top and from whatever's underneath it. So let's do the same thing to our text box. So that way we also have that feeling that it's not brushed up against the side there. I'm just going to copy this in because that makes my life easier. And boom. And now we'll run it. And now we're looking more like an example, like our example. So now we're getting the idea that not only is grid allowing us to stick it on the parent or on the root or on the main window in our case, but now we can also use grid to place it into a particular placement on that in a particular grid spot on our top, left, right, or bottom, or what have you. And then we also can give some padding around our elements or our text boxes and so forth, our labels, to give it more, to make it more comfortable. It doesn't feel less cluttered. Great. Let's move on then.